theme of this panel discussion is networking / getting your first job. And these guys, they're just a few bus stops ahead of you, so they have lots of fresh, good information for you. So that's what we're doing here today. So first question, what role did networking play in getting your first job? Anybody can take it, like whoever's got a mic. Go ahead, Boomer.
Everything. I tell my students all the time, I see a couple of you in the audience right now, so I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but I think the most important thing is networking. I mean, the way to your first job is through a person. So the more people that you know, the more opportunities you're going to open up for yourself. It's very simple.
Cool. And someone else? Madison, you want to take that?
Yeah. I would say that networking plays a huge role in your first steps as a young creative. For me, it has allowed me to not only meet a bunch of like-minded people, but to have them kind of as your community. And I work at LinkedIn currently, where we're the networking platform, professional networking platform. So I feel like I talk about this a lot, and I know a lot about this, but it's just so important to not only have people that are from your professional industry, or the industry you're hoping to get into, but also just people you know from along the way from school, your alumni, people from high school even, just making sure you have a well-rounded group of people behind you really helps take these next steps into your career.
Thank
you. My first ever internship was through a classmate, and she introduced me to this nonprofit internship. That's how I took it off. And then the second one was actually from a copywriter teacher, not Boomer, but this guy called Alex Ushima, and then I took a short copywriting class, and then by the time I graduated, I just keep reaching out to him, hey, graduating, what's up? And yeah, he got me another internship at the DDB, and then that's where I met Boomer there. Kind of took off. So start with people who you know. That's what Mark always says. Hugely important.
Thank you, Eric. I would just add to that real quick. Look to your left and to your right. Those are all people that are working in the same industry as you. And the people in your classes that you're friends with, stay in touch. Right?
Just about to say.
Oh, sorry.
So the same thing, that's what happened to me. So I didn't even apply for my first job. It's a friend who, they asked him, oh, who do you recommend? Send my name. So, and it was, I don't know who she was. It was, but what he said is true. Your classmates are your best bet. If they do well, you can do well. So it's not a competition. It's kind of like we are on this together.
Follow-up question, or next question. So a lot of you got one foot out the door. You're ready to get your first job. It's like, well, how do I network? What is networking? Why is it so important? So question to you guys. Has networking gotten easier since you started doing it?
Yes, definitely. I think when I first started out, and when I first started school, I built my first LinkedIn, and I was like, I don't even know who I should add or what's the most relevant stuff I should put on my LinkedIn. And as I started meeting more people through school or going to networking events, I would add those people on my LinkedIn. So it started building. And now going to any networking event, I feel like I know so many familiar faces because San Francisco does have a pretty small community of advertising people, UX people. So it gets easier as you do it. It's going to be so uncomfortable to begin with and so awkward. But if you just keep doing it, keep practicing, know how to hold a conversation and find things that are both interesting to both of you, find a common ground. I think that helps kind of start you off. But it does get easier. So if you don't like doing it, don't worry. It gets easier.
Great, thank you. Eric, you want any follow-up on that? Do you have any agree, disagree?
At some point, and still I'm having a hard time networking because, such an introverted person I am. It is still a challenge for me to build a conversation and lead a conversation and end a conversation. But then, as Madison told me, it kind of builds up, and you put a face like this mask on it, and then you kind of get comfortable with it. Well, I would still really won't do it necessarily at this point. Like, it's more of a, hey, I gotta do it, just to put a face on it type of deal. But yeah, it does get easier, believe it or not. Yeah.
You know, for me, it got, first of all, I work at Salesforce. I'm a senior copywriter at Salesforce. I've worked at tons of agencies in the city, and I've had to network a lot to get to where I'm at today and all the agencies I've been at. The only thing that gets easier is the way that I'm thinking about networking. You got to provide value. I don't think about networking as like, oh, I got to ask them for something. I got to ask somebody for something. Really, I give, and then they offer up things back to you. It's pretty magic. And right now, as students, you guys really don't have shit, but just goodwill. You know, hey, and so I tell all my students, and I tell everybody, when you're networking, really, it's just reaching out and just complimenting people. Hey, dude or girl, I love this ad. I love the writing. Wow, beautiful manifesto. Whatever it is, that's what I do, and that's how I got my first job. Is I was like, I saw this ad, and literally my LinkedIn message was, dude, fucking love Your Mom Hates Dead Space 3. Brilliant stuff. Peace, boomer. I didn't say, hey, I'm a student. You know, I'm really hoping for an internship. I didn't say any of that. Like, they don't care about you yet. You got to make them care about you by saying, hey, I really like your stuff. You give first. And then as creatives, we're very sensitive creatures, as you might know this about yourself already, right? So when someone goes, hey, I really like your work, it's almost like, thank you. Like, what can I do for you now? Can I give you 15 minutes? Do you need a job? That's what the guy said to me. He's like, cool, man, thanks. You want a job? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, cool, be here tomorrow, you know, at 12 noon in my office. And I was like, great. I blew the interview. I completely ruined it, but you know, that's a different story that I might share. But yeah, you know, it's really just about like not worrying about asking for something, because that's where it stresses me out. It stresses everybody else. Like, what I really want something from this person. How do I get it? And like, it's awkward to ask people. But if you just give, it's magic how much they'll offer it back without even asking anything.
Anyone else? Hernan?
Adding to that, it never gets. It's like a muscle, right? That you have to do it, and then at the beginning it's gonna be awkward, and it's okay, you know. And then the second time, but then they know you, right? Oh, this kid came the other day, and then they will remember your face. Or even if you suck that first time, it's like, oh, he's still here, or she's still there. You know what I mean? So it's like a muscle that you have to work out, and then you have to do it. And then it's like Boomer was saying, it's just be real. You know, just be yourself, and that's the hard part. It's just to calm down and just be yourself, which is no persona needed. It's just, and then they will remember you for who you are.
So next question for you guys. What's the biggest myth about networking?
I think the biggest myth is like that you need a portfolio, that you need a one-show pencil, that you need like you could have nothing and like I said, just compliment. Like, you don't need anything to compliment, and just show that you respect good work, and that you want to talk to people about good work, and that you want to know the story behind a really good piece of work or whatever. You don't need a portfolio. You don't need to, you know, come from a rich family. You don't need to have anything behind you. Just put your best foot forward. Just give. That's my best advice.
Adding on to that portfolio, we worried about, oh, I gotta get my book perfect. Like, no one cares if it's perfect. No one will know that it's perfect or not. Even you guys don't know if my book is perfect or not. Just, like Boomer said, just go out there and, hey, how can I make this better? That's where the conversation actually starts. And believe it or not, people love to give feedback and their opinions about it. And then, so the myth, I think, should be try to have a perfect portfolio, like perfect look. That's, none of that stuff.
Adding to that, that's the biggest thing. I wish I knew that before. Is your portfolio will never be perfect. You know, it takes years of experience. Yeah, and so you have nothing. Just go talk to people, and hey, you know, you get to know the person. You have something. Just work on it. we are developing that eye. So we're never going to be happy with it because we have that little thing that tells it, oh, it can be better, which is what makes you a creative, right? And so it will never get there because you're so hard on yourself. You have to be. That's what it makes you a creative. And so the more you work, the more it's going to be easier to put things together. But sometimes we are too hard on ourselves and we give up. We just say, I can't, that's not me. I'm not going to be able to do it. So the biggest myth is you have to be perfect because you're comparing yourself to people who had years of experience ahead of you. So just do it. Just keep working and never stop. I don't know. Yeah.
I think like one myth about networking that I always thought was that like you have to go into it being impressive. Like you already have to be like very like put together, very cool, very like eloquent, and honestly you just have to go into it thinking like, again to what Boomer said, don't go into it with any expectation of getting anything back. Just be able to like go in being fully yourself. Because they're not expecting you to be the most impressive person in the world. They just want to get to know you for you. So just do that. That's the myth. You don't have to put these super high expectations on yourself going into it.
Anyone else? No? I would just add a quick note to that. They're looking for potential, not perfection. Is that fair to say? Yeah. Okay. So moving on to the next question. Have you ever dropped a name in an interview?
I mean, for sure. in a bad way, too. I've definitely screwed up doing that, too. I'll tell a story about my first interview. I reached out to this dude, hey, fucking love your work, and then he was like, cool, come in for an interview, and I was like, okay, great. And I didn't have a portfolio, no portfolio. I think I was like 2 or 3 years into school here, and I should have had a portfolio. I'm looking at Mark. I should have had a portfolio, but I didn't quite have one yet. So I went in the interview, and before I went to the interview, I researched. It was Camp and King. I researched all the creative directors, all the work that they did. Because what I wanted to do as a copywriter is I wanted to come in and say a joke. Like when I first meet them, I wanted to say something funny, so I'd be like memorable. That was my idea. So there was this one guy named Paul Sinkoff. Here I go, name dropping. He was the creative director there, and I looked at his book, and one of the things he's done in his past was he was an actor for Saved by the Bell. He was like a guest star actor or something, and he was like an asshole in the role that he was in. He was like this weird gym guy that was like touching girls' asses and like being a prick to everybody. And so I just thought it would be funny if I referenced that when I first met him. And lo and behold, I go into the agency, and he's the first person that I see. Like, I didn't really expect to interview with him necessarily, but there he was, Paul Sinkoff, and I was like, oh, fuck, there he is. And I was like reciting this line that I had practiced, over and over on my way there. Like, okay, when I see him, I'm going to say this, and when and I kept saying it over and over again. And then when I met him, he was like, hey, my name's Paul. You're Boomer, right? And I was like, hey, yeah, I'm Boomer. You play a great asshole. And he literally was just like, right this way, sir. And after that, like, it just went to shit after that. But, yeah.
So next one. Do you continue to network even though you have a job?
Yes, keep networking. You never know what's going to happen within your job that you currently have. It's like a very sad reality. So like you can't stop meeting people, and it doesn't really benefit you to stop networking because there's always new people coming into the industry, whether they are students just graduating or people that just made a career change. So there's always going to be new people to meet, and you don't know how they will fit into your career path later on. So I would say always keep networking. It's only going to benefit you.
And network is basically people who you know. So it's your friends. I mean, will you ever stop meeting friends, making new friends, that's what you're asking yourself. Do I want to stop meeting people? So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So you never stop meeting people, and that's the reality of it.
I got to Havas and now working as an art director because I kept on networking. And then networking by main, when I met Boomer, there was a creative director called Dan Reed, and then he now works at Ideate. And then Ideate is the place that I actually really want to work in the future. So like you just don't know who you were end up working in the other place that happens to be, oh my God, I want to work there. And then also like globally speaking, because our school is so international, all my graduate friends, all my friends who graduated, they went back to European countries and Asian countries. And then, I don't know, maybe I will get a job in Singapore one day. Maybe I want to go to Amsterdam and work at an ad agency. And there's your friend there. So it's like, even though it's your friend, you're still networking. So just hey, how's it going? I just moved. How are you doing? Just, spark a conversation and then, networking.
If you go onto my LinkedIn, I think I have probably 5,000 connections. Yeah. And last year I probably had 4,000. Yeah. And I have a full-time job. I'm doing great. I'm happy. I'm comfortable, but I'm still like, our employment is at will. They will fire you tomorrow. You might get a notice and you just get laid off, and it's not your fault. You might be the star of the agency, but hey, we lost the client. We got budget cuts, da-da-da. So it's so important. The world is fucking small. It's really, really smaller than you guys realize. Just like you were saying. I mean, you go to another agency, it's like, hey, like 4 people there. And it's like, wow, I reached out to you and you on LinkedIn, So yeah, it's important to constantly network.
Cool. Good answers, guys. Next question. What's one thing you would do differently before, during, or after an interview? Dealer's choice.
Yeah, I will. So my first interview was a basic in San Francisco. This is like one semester after I got here, and I don't know. I just maybe there wasn't San Francisco is a different world, or maybe I just didn't realize what the creative world was all about. And I went to the interview with a suit, like a tie, And so, and to my taste, I don't know if you ever went there. Like, I don't know, just do your research first. But, yeah, huge mistake. So the person after me, he came with a scooter. He just entered the agency with a scooter and red shoes and messy hair, and then I met him. I mean, I knew him. He was also from school, and he got the internship.
Drop the mic.
I make sure I'm interviewing them. So like my goal now in interviews is to actually have them talk more than I talk. Because afterwards they walk away going, God, he was a nice guy, and they talk the whole time. Because I was just curious. I was genuinely curious about where do you want to take the company in 5 years? Where do you guys see yourselves in 5 years? What kind of clients do you guys want to attract in the future? Because then it's like, wow, this guy's thinking about the future and he's thinking about growing with us and everything. And then they just start talking and talking and talking, and by the end they shake my hand and go, God, you're hired, and I didn't even say anything. But then afterwards, to follow up with them, like what I do now is, I'll follow up with the people that I interviewed with, and I'll keep it really brief because everyone's busy, so don't take too much of their time. But just reference something you guys talked about. Like I just thought of, they said they were an actor, so I thought it was really interesting how you were an actor. That's really cool. And anyway, yeah, nice talking to you. Yeah, just like that you remember your conversation, that you actually made a human connection. You kind of reinforce that with the follow-up interview or follow-up message.
Eric?
I want to add to first advertising agency interview was at Hoffman and Lewis. I got so excited. I just couldn't contain myself. So that kind of carried on to the interview as well. So I was talking to the vice president and then creative director then, and that was like just so overcome with the joy, and then, yeah, I couldn't get the job. But then if I were to be able to go back, I would probably just calm myself down, because it's a job interview, just don't let your emotion overcome you.
Mm-hmm.
I would say going into initial interviews for myself, I thought that, okay, they just want to see my advertising work. Like, I'm just going to show them that I know how to be an art director. But I also realized that they kind of just want to know who you are as a person. If you have any side hustles that you enjoy doing, they kind of almost would prefer to see those and know what you do beyond just advertising or UX UI. So I would say it really benefits you to show them that you're a well-rounded creative in general. So showing some of those side things that you guys like to do.
Everybody? Yep. Okay, thank you guys. Moving on, back to networking. Who gave you the best piece of advice in regards to networking, and what was it?
Vince Engel. Vince Engel used to be the director of the department here, and he told me, say fuck a lot. And it's not literally just say fuck all the time. It's really just be your creative self. That's how I took it. So in interviews or even in networking, I make sure that I'm speaking my language. Not everybody speaks boomer language, but that's why someone's going to hire me over somebody else, because they're going to hire me for my voice, tone, and my thoughts and creativity. So if you go on there trying to tell them what they want to hear or speak too business-like or too whatever, they're going to be like, this is an account person or some shit. You should be in finance or something like that, But if you're going for a creative job, then you better fucking be creative in the interview. They better know who they're hiring when they're talking to you. So that'd be my piece of advice.
So let's see. I don't remember who. I remember what. So it was. This is the Instagram era, and everybody wants to be famous, and they want to start their first job and super star, right? We all want to be star super fast. Is what we all want. We have the best jobs, the best projects, and then you're gonna be in a magazine, and that's what the Instagram era is what is teaching us to be, just to be a fast star. And I wish I can remember who gave me that advice, but it was just take your time, start and build your grounds, and that's what networking is all about. That's what your job and your experience is all about. So then you start growing from a solid ground, and then you're not going to be super fast on the top, and then it's easier to fall if you don't build your ground.
Yeah, actually, Wojo was one of the first people I reached out to when I moved here 4.5 years ago. And going off of not saying you're sorry, I kept saying when I showed him my work, he would ask me about something on my page, and I would say, oh, it's just a thing that I did. But you shouldn't say just. It's even just not only talking about your work, you should be super confident, and it's not just a project you did. It's a project that you did, and you explain it through. And so just like in networking, you're not just a person there talking. You don't have to be sorry to be there. Everybody wants to. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but the best advice I can say is just be confident and value yourself very highly, because you guys do work very hard, and it is scary to go into it, but if you go into it with confidence, that will only benefit you.
And one last thing, Einstein, he's my biggest idol, and he said if you can't say something simply, you don't understand it well enough. And that's true in an interview, that's true when you're talking to somebody. So remember not to ramble, because the more succinct you are and the more like substantive you can be with like very simple words, the smarter you sound.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Last or next to last question. What's something your today self would tell your 1 year ago self about networking?
Stop waiting. It's not going to come for you. I won a bunch of awards in school and nothing happened. Nothing. Like, I had to go make it happen. And like, so if I were to go tell my young self, like, dude, like, get your ass out there. Like, start complimenting people. That's why I tell my students now, like, I'm trying to give advice to my younger self. That's the only advice I give, is that I would give my younger self. And one thing is just like, get out there. Like, get out there. Stop being afraid. Nothing is going to happen. No matter how many pencils you win, you still won't get hit up by the people that you want unless you go reach out to them. So that's it.
I would tell myself 1 year ago to prioritize networking. I know it's something that like we always talk about in school, and like you do need to build your network, and you know it's all good to say that, but you also need to act on it and prioritize, because you do have a million other things going on. So as long as you can try to reach out to a couple people each month, and even just like grab a coffee, find like some common ground, it will benefit you tenfold. It's so important. So that's something that I try to prioritize now.
And he was one extreme. I go to the other one. Procrastination. It's like, you know, that's what I will tell myself, shake me, you know, like, no, slap me in the face, just do it. It's just crazy. It's just so frustrating. And then, that's number one. And number two, this is like self-help, but you're good enough. That's what I will tell myself. You're good enough. Just do it. You know, all over here just say they talk about doing something. There's not waiting. You know, so you're good enough. Stop being procrastinator and just do it.
Mine will be, don't let the idea of the pursuit of happiness fool you, because by the time that you graduate and after graduation, you need to focus on the work and getting the job, if that is your goal. But like going through that, your heart says, oh my God, there's so many things that I can feel happy about. You just kind of digress. And there were so many times I digressed, searching for that happiness, happy moment. If I could go back in time, I could also do the same thing, slap in my face, focus on the work. Yeah.
Okay, great, guys. Thank you for those answers. I'm going to open up the floor over here. Who's going to be our first guest star and come down and speak and grab the mic? Go ahead.
So this is the semester that I graduate, and I've started applying for jobs and everything. So as soon as I started applying, there are a lot of contract jobs that come towards you. So, you know, as a fresh graduate, I want to know, should I just focus on getting a full-time opportunity, or should I be open for contract jobs too?
Be open.
Okay.
Take it. My first job was a contract job, and it was for heat. And I got super lucky because the project I worked on won pretty much every single award you can think of.
Okay.
And that helps me today.
Yeah, I would say I'm fairly recently graduated out of school, and I thought that I needed to go into a full-time agency role like right away. And I've been trying out different places that I kind of have been interested in. Whether it's like a fellowship or an internship, those are okay to take too. If it's like a short-term contract, I would do that. So right now you can totally explore whatever you want. I think that that's not a problem. And from what I can tell, a lot of your employers really encourage you to like keep exploring, because it only makes you a better creative and designer. So
Sure.
And of course, that's it. For internationals, the contract has to be fitable to you. You know, so it's the most common thing in the business to be a freelance. So that's always an option. But find what is good for you.
Okay.
Contract or full time, it has to be good for you or for anybody. And yeah.
Thank you.
Well, my question is, people at your level have tons of rookies, trying to shake hands and rub elbow with you. Can you give us some example on what are some of the rookies that did right that make you really go, wow, I want to help this kid? What are the do's and don'ts, and what are the turns-ons and turns-off?
Just human nature. I'm more inclined to help someone that is interested in me. So if you reach out to me, hey, Boomer, I see you're at Salesforce, senior copywriter. Can you tell me a little bit about Dreamforce? That seems like a really cool thing you worked on. I'd love to hear more about that. And actually I'm a student over here and I'm working on something similar. I just want to pick your brain. I'm like, I'm interested now because they actually reached out to me specifically because of my expertise. It wasn't just like a rabbit out of the hat, pull my name out of the hat and, hey, you're a copywriter. Hey, here's what I want. Here's what I want. Here's what I want. Here's what I want. I want to know that you like me first. And that goes for any creative that you reach out to.
And this might be controversial, I don't know. It's something that bothers me is when they ask me for a job. Like, I can't get you a job. It's just HR can give you a job. So it's like everyone's saying that if you come to me and then you ask for advice or like look at my work, what do you think? Or I like your stuff or anything like that is great. Kind of like a human perspective. It's like, oh, they want to get to know me. Okay, cool. Let's just have a coffee or whatever, right? But when I know everybody wants a job, right? But it's a given, right? So don't ask for a job because I can't give it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's so at LinkedIn there's a huge coffee culture, and just the nature of the company is to meet other people in different departments and essentially network within this networking company. But you don't, it's so random. It's you basically go into it not expecting anything back, which is great. And also you get to know somebody else's role more so than you did before. I would say always be authentic in reaching out. If you're just reaching out because you want a job, there's no way you're going to be able to disguise that by just schmoozing, and you truly want to know this person because of their expertise and what they can teach you. So always be authentic in who you reach out to. If they'll pick up on it.
Okay.
I want to add it to Boomers that the reaching out part. Know how to write really effective emails. It just shows. Someone who cares about what they want to achieve shows. Someone who doesn't care shows. Just be more mindful about writing a right email, who you're speaking to.
Don't ramble. We don't know you yet. We're like, they don't know you yet. So don't ramble on about yourself and I'm a student, I'm looking for this and that. No one cares yet. So just be interested in them, and hopefully that'll be enough to have schedule a meeting.
Cool. Great. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Someone else? Come on down. Oh, go ahead.
I have a question from online. Nathan Pollard wants to know, are you in the job that you thought you would be in?
No. I thought I was going to be a marine biologist.
I thought I was going to be in the CIA. That's what I wanted to do for a really long time. So now you all know, so I'm definitely not going to be in it.
And then am I where I want to be now? Was I in a point where I was super unhappy, but it was the career path? Yes, I was there. Is this it? I thought I was going to be that and that. And then I was in a place that I didn't like it, and I questioned my career. And then you do all this boring stuff that you wish you never have to do. That's like she was saying, just hustle and then keep moving forward, right? And then the right opportunity comes when it comes. But right now, I'm interested in that path, So I don't know if it is where I want to be, but I'm going where I want to be.
Hi, my name is Ting. I want to ask what kind of first impression you guys think is good when you interview with new grad? So aside from wearing suit and tie, I still want to know what kind of tips you guys think is good for new graduates.
So I took this sales course called the Straight Line Method of Persuasion by the Wolf of Wall Street dude named Jordan Belfort. It was really, really interesting. And he says when you first meet anybody in any situation, and I live by this now today, you want to establish 3 things in the first 4 seconds. You want to establish that you're as sharp as a tack, that you're enthusiastic as hell, and that you're an expert in your field, right? And the way you do that is, hey, I'm Ting. Not crazy, but like, hey, I'm Ting. Like you gotta be enthusiastic and fucking sharp. Like, so talk a little bit faster and say, hey, I'm Ting, right? And you know, because really, like, I think we could all attest to this. I think we've all interviewed, you know, interns or juniors, whatever. The thing I'm looking for, I'm not really. The work is, you guys are students. Like, it's not going to be that great. I mean, frankly, it's good. The thinking might be really good, but really, I'm looking for: are you enthusiastic? Are you curious? And are you like, do you want to do good work in the future? So that's what I'm looking for. That's the kind of first impression that I want, and that's the first impression that I'll take to my ECD and be like, hey, I really think this Ting lady's, you know, pretty. She's gonna kill it. Like, she's all right now, but like, she wants to be really good, and that's like the most important thing.
Okay, thank you.
This is just personal, right? That I would say when I look, I meet somebody and they say, hey, let's do your work, and then it's a copywriter, but then there's few words in it, or it's an art director, and then like there is no effort on your portfolio, right? And so, like personally, what he was saying, like, you have to show that you want that, you know, you want to jump into to help the company or whatever it is to do. You have to care about your work, right? If you show me photos or your hobbies or the work that you've done in school or personal projects or whatever, what you're showing me is telling me I have this taste. This is my taste on stuff, right? And this is the best according to me, right? And so if you don't care, it shows. So if you're an art director, just look at other people's art portfolios, and that's your level, right? And so care. Okay. So I would say care for your stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Eric?
Just knowing that you'll get there. Just keep that in heart. Never give up.
Okay, thank you so much.
Last thing, if this is the last question, I just want to get, because this is like a concrete piece of advice. So you guys are students, you guys have student work in your book. You're going to be asked, what's the best piece in your book? What's the best piece in your book, right? You've probably heard this question before. The way that the smartest answer that I could come up with, that I've literally gotten the job every single time that I've said this, I go, yeah, I'll take you through, you know, some of my best work, but I know that I have my best work ahead of me. And then I go into showing them my work, and just that line right there shows intelligence, because it shows that you know where you're at. It's kind of like the Skip's point earlier about knowing yourself. Like, you know you're just a student right now. You know you're still figuring out and learning and trying to attach yourself to really smart people to learn more, because you want to do good work, and you know your best work is ahead of you. And it's a really self-reflective and intelligent line to use in an interview.
I used that line. You did? Yeah.
Guys, a nice round of applause for this.